everyone. With the Grammys now concluded for 2025, my thoughts kind of collected about it. I thought I'd talk about the big category that I think is like the most prestigious when it comes to it, which is Album of the Year. We've had some good winners at times. We've had some pretty bad winners, some wins that I think just didn't make sense. This year is one of those that's kind of controversial, as Beyonce won the Grammy for her album Cowboy Carter. And while I listened to the album and I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan, I just didn't think it was that great. I thought it was definitely, the people saying it's not a country album, trust me, it's a country album, considering that we have like fucking Luke Bryan and like Jelly Roll considered rappers. I think this is a country album. I'll say that. Now, whether or not you think it's a good or bad country album, that is up for you to decide. I thought it was okay, just my opinion. I didn't review it, but I thought it was okay. But it winning, I know it was controversial that it won Country Album of the Year, which I'll be honest, looking at the nominees, I didn't listen to a lot of the albums that were nominated, so I don't have an opinion on Cowboy Carter winning or not. What I do have an opinion on is her winning Album of the Year. Now, people saying that's like she had the worst album out of all of them, I think are completely ignoring the fact that Jacob Collier got nominated for Album of the Year. I thought that was crazy. That was probably the worst album out of them, in my opinion. I thought Cowboy Carter was relatively not awful, so when I saw people were hating it, like, furious about it, I was a little shocked, but also that's just how the Grammys are. People saying it's one of the worst Grammy robberies in history for Album of the Year is also crazy, considering last year SZA lost Album of the Year, which is crazy to me because I thought SZA should have won over all those albums, and there were a lot of good albums. But this year there were also a lot of good albums, such as Charlie XCX's Brett, Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet, freaking Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft, Chappell Roan's, her album, I forget what her name is, I think it's like Story of a Midwestern Princess, something along those lines. All those albums were nominated, and I thought all of those were pretty good albums, with their own strengths. Some had their weaknesses in general, but I thought all of them were quality albums that would have been good to see any of them win. No, I did not think Taylor Swift should have won. I'm just going to be honest. I think the two worst albums out of all of them were definitely Taylor's and Jacob Collier's. Andre 3K would have been an interesting win to see, but I don't think he should have won for that. But seeing Cowboy Carter win was kind of crazy because I really did not see that one winning, with all things considered. I really thought Charlie XCX was going to win it. And not even necessarily because I thought it was the best album, simply just because of how much of popularity she's had this year. Because we're talking about, like, impact musically, I don't think you can compare any of those albums to Brat. Considering the Brat Summer, the entire just trend of that took over an entire summer and managed to stand toe-to-toe, considering that Kendrick Lamar released Not Like Us. All of that going on, for her album to still be world popular is insane. So, in my opinion, I really thought that one was going to win. I probably would have picked that one to win. That one or Billie Eilish's, in my opinion. I thought those two were the strongest ones. Don't get me wrong, Sabrina Carpenter's album I thought was pretty decent. It had a couple weak songs on it, but I thought that album had two major smash hits. And I mean, the album at least got, I think, Best Pop Vocal Album. So at least it has that. Chappell Roan got Best New Artist. I feel bad Billie didn't win anything, and she got nominated like 8 times, I think, which is like the same thing that happened last year with SZA, but people seem to be more mad at Billie Eilish not winning something, but people kind of skipped over the fact that SZA didn't win anything, which is crazy to me. I know I'm bringing that back, but in my opinion, I'm kind of scratching my head at her winning. I don't think it's the worst pick they could have done, but it's certainly, there were at least 4 better options you could have gone with, and one that I think was at least on the same level as, even though I love Andre 3K, his jazz album he made was nothing crazy in my opinion. I thought it was decent. I've listened to it. I put it on the same level as Cowboy Carter in terms of just like quality, in my opinion. But yeah, I was just kind of scratching my head at this, and I thought I'd just give my thoughts. I really thought Charlie XCX or Billie should have won Album of the Year. Had 2 of the biggest albums, and I know also, I'll say this to end off, don't make the argument saying like Billy's album had this many more streams than that, because if we're talking about that, let's not forget that Taylor Swift, that would mean Taylor Swift should win every time that she releases an album. Like, let's not pick and choose when streaming matters. Like, that's not as important as you think, in my opinion. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, that's probably like that's a very weak argument to make, and makes just it not seem good, because then it's like, well, it's more about the music rather than that, which you can argue that, because Billie Eilish's album was a lot better musically than Cowboy Carter. But yeah, arguing the streaming is so weird to do to me, but that's just what I want to end off with. My thoughts on that. Not the worst robbery the Grammys have ever had, but certainly nothing crazy or good for them to do. But yeah, those are my thoughts.